I say we just take a collection and call it a day. Huh? That was great, huh? Ooh. I love it when it feels like we're having church. So I'm going to go to the other direction from God's house. That there was a guy who was really, really bad news. He was such bad news that when he went to hell, he immediately was promoted to the devil's assistant. And the devil said, well, I'm going to show you around. I'm going to show you some things that most don't get to see here. He said, today what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the special wing of hell that we have for clergy. And the bad guy thought this was really interesting, so they pass a room, and there is a guy in there, and he's just burning. He is just burning, burning, burning. And the new assistant says to the devil, so what did he do that he's in here? Tell me about that. And the guy's just screaming and wailing, and he says, this is a clergyman, he fondled the flock. And you wind up here for that. And, oh, interesting. And they move along to the next room, and there's somebody in there who is just burning like crazy. And says to the devil, what did this minister do? And he says, he ran off with the money. And you know, that doesn't fly, so that's why he's here. And then they walk past the third room, but they didn't stop. And so the assistant says to the devil, wait a minute, back there, we just passed a room and there was a guy in there mumbling. Who was that? And he says, just ignore them. He says, no, what is it? Tell me, what is it? And he says, that's the religious science minister. He says, feel free, listen in if you want. And so the new assistant leans in, and he hears the religious science minister saying, there's no hell, it's not hot, and I'm not here. There's no hell, it's not hot, and I'm not here. Could happen. So I've come to notice that, a lot of people don't have what they say they want to have in their life. They're always telling me about it. And, it's really interesting. No, I mean, it's okay. It's okay because, there's a lot that we can do. Ernest Holmes created this philosophy here, largely here in Southern California, because I think he liked the creative environment of Southern California, that there were so many people who did intensely creative things here that he really liked this because he felt like this philosophy would really help people who had kind of a creative slant to their life, because this is a do with kind of teaching. It's not a do to me, it's a do with kind of teaching. And so people, here's what I observe. I observe today in the world, we have an enormous agreement. There's like a collective consciousness, what Ernest Holmes would call a race consciousness. Jung called it the herd mind, right? I like the herd mind. Moo. That where we have agreements about things. And one thing we have tremendous agreement about, in our culture, this is not true everywhere in the world, but we have tremendous agreement about being victims. That, if you were walking down the street and a branch had fallen and you tripped over it, you would feel like perhaps you were a victim of the city. Or if you ate something and it didn't agree with you, you would feel like you were a victim of that restaurant. Or your friend who cooked it and fed it to you. And, there's just such incredible agreement about that. Now, if you don't think I'm right, think about who you call when you feel like a victim. Their number is programmed into your phone, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And you'll say, you'll never believe this. And they go, oh, you're right. Oh my God, that's awful. Now, the subtext of what they're saying is, you poor, stupid thing. You're right. You're absolutely right. You are a moron. Nothing good will ever happen to you. Why would you ever think anybody would love you, hire you, want you? So it's really a strange thing that we perpetuate and have this agreement of how victimized we each are. I'll agree with your victimization, you agree with my victimization. The problem with this is that in a victim kind of consciousness, you can never be enough of a victim to get healed. You can never be enough of a victim of your own thinking and belief about yourself that somebody's going to show up and love you or offer you a phenomenal job, or that some part of your life gets healed. You just can't victim your way into that. People say, well, why does God let that happen? Why does God let us be victims? Because we have free will and because we have choice. We were created with free will and choice. You know, that God didn't create us to be puppets. God created us so that we could evolve at our own rate and that we could start to make better choices when we notice that something isn't working. Now, what I observe is that we make the same choice, only harder, thinking that's what it's going to take to fix it. You know, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. It hasn't worked for 30 years, but I'll just do it harder now, and now it's going to work this time. That was my problem, is that I wasn't doing it hard enough. So people talk about that they are not able to be what they want to be or do what they want to do in life or have what they want to have. And that will never come about through being in sort of a victim kind of consciousness. Because in victim consciousness, you're saying that the power is outside of you. They're doing it to me. They have dominion over me. Someone outside of me has control of whether I'm happy, prosperous, and free. Right? Now, the Science of Mind says that you were created that way, that the truth of your spirit, the truth of your consciousness is that you are happy, prosperous, and free. And yet what we do is that we so willingly give our dominion and our power away to others to decide, am I happy today? Do I like this? Is this okay? Does this look good on me? Does this make my... Oh, never mind. So here's my new insight, that we really do get to have reasons why our life doesn't work, why we can't be and do and have what we want, or we can have results. And the way the universe is wired is the universe responds to our thinking. Jesus said in the Bible, it's done unto you as you believe. All right, so there's a step right there. There's a clue. It's done unto us as we believe. You know, there was a movie years ago, I liked it, with Robert Downey Jr. and Marissa Tomei, and it was called Only You. I don't know if you remember. It's like 30 years ago. It was a long time ago. But I remember this piece, that she's a young girl, and she's playing with friends, and they're on a Ouija board. And she says, who will be the great love of my life? And a name comes through the Ouija board. And then a few years later, she's at like the county fair, and there's a fortune teller. And she says to the fortune teller, who will be the love of my life? And she doesn't know that her brother has paid off the fortune teller. And the fortune teller gives her the exact same name that she got on the Ouija board a couple years before. So she's in about junior high school now, and you can see that a belief is formed. Like, oh my God, the person who's really going to love me, the great love of my life, is going to be the guy by this name. Now, the fortune teller is actually very kind, because even though she was bought off, before the girl leaves the fortune-telling tent, she grabs her hand and she says, wait. The truth is, you create your own destiny. Now, Ernest Holmes teaches us this in The Science of Mind, that your destiny is not sealed in cement. Now, we all may be heading in a particular direction wherever we're heading, but here's the thing. Anytime you stop to pray, anytime you meditate, anytime you affirm the truth, anytime you connect with the sacred word from the scriptures or the Science of Mind textbook, it changes the direction you're going. So, any moment, anytime you do something different. So yes, this might be likely to happen. But if you pray, if you meditate, if you treat, if you raise your consciousness at all, then all bets are off. It changes the outcome. And you see, we have this capacity in any moment to change the outcome. Ernest says in the textbook that a realization of the spiritual truth is the greatest healing agency known to humankind. That when we really deeply realize the truth, the spiritual truth that God created about us, created before the beginning, that truth that we came in with, not the circumstances, not the story, not the drama, but the truth that we came in with, that exists in our soul. When we realize that and we really, really connect with that, we have a profound experience that changes us. We're not the same on the other side. You know, you can have had a bad habit for 30 or 40 years. But when you sit with a practitioner, if they have a real spiritual realization, and when you're praying, you have a spiritual realization, you're lifted up off of decades of bad habit, and in that instant, you become free. You become healed. And you know what I know about every time we have a healing someplace in our life, that there's then space, there's opening, there's freedom there, and the universe can bring something new, better, and different than has ever gone before into our life in that area. When we stop being a victim of the past, when we let go of something that does not serve us, when we stop telling a story, whatever that is for us. So we can have our reasons, and I understand we do. Sometimes we have reasons and we have to talk about that reason again and again and again and again. Or we can have results. We could have results in our life right now because we believe that the universe, that God is always saying yes to anything that would add to your life and bring greater good and not intentionally hurt anybody else. Because Ernest Holmes is very clear on this in our teaching, that the will of God is absolute good. So you can ask yourself, gee, is this the will of God for me? Well, is it good? Yes. Okay. Does it intentionally hurt anybody else? No. Then it's the will of God. It's that simple. Why would we keep holding on to things that keep us small, that hold us back, that don't allow us to be all of who we came here to be? So I realize one of the pieces of this that's really important is we've got to give up the reason so that we can have the result. There was a Christian mystic, St. Teresa of Avila. She was the first woman doctor of the church. She was absolutely brilliant and had extraordinary mystical experiences again and again throughout her life. And so one of her great works is called The Interior Castle, and it's about how we journey inward to really know our soul. And so she says that the soul is like a crystal. The soul is like a crystal, and there are 7 mansions into the crystal. And the third mansion, she says, to enter the third mansion, you have to be willing to give up the need for a reason why something has happened. Because people get stuck on that. And people get so stuck on it, they don't actually continue living their life. They get stuck on, if I could just know why. If I could just know why. If I could just know why. And that's a trap. That's a trap the personality plays on you. To keep you from moving forward, to keep you from blossoming and becoming all that you could possibly be. There is that aspect to our very human self that wants to keep us small, that wants to hold us back. We have to say, well, I hear you, and just for today, I'm not going to listen to you. Just for today, just for today. Tomorrow you'll have another shot, but today I'm not going to listen to that voice. So she says that the soul is like a crystal. It has 7 mansions, and the third mansion is that we have to be willing to give up our need for a reason. Remember Shakespeare in Love? People loved it or not. I liked it very much. There's a little bit in Shakespeare in Love where they say, well, how? How is this going to happen? How is it possible? How is this going to happen? And the answer is, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. There are some things, so you'll either fall into one of 2 categories. The category that says, I need to know, or the category that says, it's a mystery. And I'm okay with it, it's a mystery. So I'm in the category of, it's a mystery, and I don't get to know right now. Now, more will be revealed later. That's certainly so. More will be revealed later. When? I don't know. But not everything is ours to know right now. Don't we realize that? When you're in first grade, they don't give you the 12th grade information. Right? When you start dating somebody, you don't get how it's going to be 5 years down the road, do you? Right? No, we don't. We don't get it. It's like, hi, we're going to be together for the next 5 years. This is how bad it's going to have to get before you do anything. We don't do that. We don't do that, right? So, you suit up and show up and shut up, and you're here for the journey. Right? So we're here for the journey. So I would really love to encourage us to be willing to sort of shift columns, to move from the column of I need a reason. I need a reason. Why will not set you free? There is no good answer to why. Didn't your mother tell you because was the answer to why? Why? Because I say so. That's why. Now get to bed. Right? That's the answer to why, okay? That's what God says. Because I said so. But more will be revealed. It's good sometimes that we don't have all the information. There are times, right? Wouldn't we agree? That there are times when it's really good that we do not know all the details. Although we tell ourselves we would like to. It's good that we don't, so we can continue our own spiritual evolution, so that we can continue to grow and evolve and heal and participate fully in our own life. So I would just say one more thing about this that I think is important, is that if we are willing to continue to direct our attention inward and say, what is it that I'm here to do? God, show me. What's the greater purpose of my life? What's the purpose of my being here? What's the purpose of my existence? Now, not 30 years ago, because it changes. What's the purpose of your life at one point in your life is different in a later chapter. It's not necessarily the same. Parents, you know this. At one point in your life, the purpose of your life is to raise healthy children who are safe and all those things. But then they grow up and have the audacity to leave, right? So they go away, and then your purpose has to become something else other than just looking at scrapbooks, right? Because you're going to be very depressed if all you do is look back. We have to look forward, right? Always, always. As good as it's been, we have to continue to look forward. So one of the ways that enables us to let go of needing a reason is to say, am I doing my purpose today? Whatever that is. Whatever it is this in my life, am I doing that? Am I doing what, as far as I can tell, my soul came here to do? And people always think it's got to be some huge sign from God. And in my experience, it's not. I think that God is communicating with us. God is talking to us all the time. All the time. But I think it's so subtle that we don't think it's God. We think it's got to be like some major crack in the earth, that we're walking down the street, the earth opens up, we fall in. But if that happened, we'd crawl out and say, oh, that was for somebody else, that wasn't for me. That was clearly to get somebody else's attention, not mine. And so, so this is how I think it comes to me, and perhaps it works this way for you, that I'll be doing something and a thought will come into my head. Don't watch this show now. Go for a walk. And I'll go, no, I'm going to watch the show. I'll walk after the show. No, I won't. Or a personal favorite of mine is, don't eat this. And it's like, who said that? I'm eating this, But honestly, I think if I can't hear that and follow it, right? If I won't listen to those little promptings that show up, then how am I going to hear the bigger stuff that God is trying to tell me, right? And so I would just say for the week ahead, maybe we could all just try a little more to when that thought pops into our head that says, just this once, put down the chimichanga and go for a walk. That we might do that and see how, the reasons start to dissolve and we start to experience more results. Let's pray. So we turn our attention inward now for a moment, recognizing that right here where we are, the fullness, the allness of God is right here. Each and every one of us, an incarnation of divine love, of divine spirit, of divine life. This is the truth about us. We came in with it. And so I claim for each and every one of us right here, right now, that nothing is absent. Nothing is broken about us, that we are not in any way less than the perfection of God, of spirit, of love. And so I know as we join together in consciousness, we all get lifted up. We all get raised up. Our faith is increased. I claim perfect healing for each and every one of us. And if we have kept ourselves small or held ourselves back by thinking we needed a reason before we could move forward, I claim that right here and now, in this holy instant, we are free from that. That we just let the need for a reason go. And we allow the goodness of God to be revealed in every area of our life. We hold nothing back. So I claim for each and every one of us that God is our health, and God is the love that we are, and God is our instant, constant, and abundant supply in every good thing. We let our prayer be a blessing in the world, so all of those things that look like darkness to us, we say God is right there, even in the midst of that. So we let our thought be a blessing in those situations. We send love and peace and good energy, and we remember again and again and again, every time it comes into our awareness, that God is right there. We bless our church, we bless all churches, synagogues and temples and mosques and ashrams, all paths to God. And I'm certain that we are blessed by being together, that we all get lifted up, that our hearts are opened, that love is the order of the day. And for this we give thanks. And with a full heart, I just release this word. I know it's done, and so it is. Together we all say, Amen.